morning, everyone. Mary here again. I actually have a lamp in front of me right now because I'm just kind of sick and tired of my setup with my camera and everything, because it's like the overhead light in my room is behind me, and so it makes my face look really dark. So I'm trying to use a lamp, and it looks a little harsh in some areas, but other than that, it's like, yay, I don't look like, so icky in my video. So yeah, I guess crazy YouTube setups and everything. It's like, I wish I had a green screen like some, YouTubers. Maybe eventually. But anyway, this is sort of more of more informal video that I'm doing. And it's about, what today is, and today is Columbus Day for a lot of people. Monday, October 13th. And, when I was really young, I really liked Columbus Day because I would get school off, obviously. It wasn't very much a big deal for me otherwise. It's just, I guess, a federal holiday like some other days. But nowadays, I don't like Columbus Day at all. And not just because I have to work. It's like, why do I have to work on a federal holiday? Well, anyway. Well, something that happened in my neck of the woods, because I don't live too far away from Seattle, actually, is that they changed the name of the day, from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, or, something like either they canned it or they just, said today's Indigenous Peoples Day too. And personally, I think that they could not have done a better move. So I really applaud the Seattle City Council for making the vote to change the holiday. And I imagine a lot of people have, can ascertain why I would think so. But what made me, really facepalm is that, there are people who are protesting the change. They're Italian Americans, and they're like, well, now we're getting shoved to the side, and, well, what about, Italian heritage and everything? It's like St. Patty's. They're like, making the argument, it's like St. Patty's Day is like, Irish American, holiday. So Columbus Day is Italian American holiday. I'm like, what? And here's the reason why. Everybody knows about the story about Columbus, right? He sailed the ocean blue in 1942 and discovered the Americas. Not really. Everybody, or if you've taken an actual look at history, who were the first people who discovered the Americans? Native Americans. They went across the land bridge and the Bering Strait. If you believe in that theory. A lot of people debate on when it happened or exactly how it happened. Some people think, well, maybe they, sailed over here. We don't know for certain. I'm of the camp of the Bering Strait, and the date, it could be 20,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. It doesn't matter. The point is that Native Americans were the ones who first discovered the Americas. They were the first settlers here. And then even then, after that, you had, the Vikings who discovered the Americas and all of that good stuff. So, when people say Columbus discovered the Americas in 1942, no, he didn't. There were people here already. The Vikings were here already. Maybe they didn't go far. The only thing that you can really attribute to Columbus is actually staying here in the Americas. And that kind of goes into my next point. I think this is the biggest thing that boggles my mind, why Italian Americans want to celebrate this holiday. And that's because Columbus wasn't a very good guy. If you've ever done any research on exactly what he did when he got here into the Americas, he was in the West Indies, and he just subjugated these people and enslaved them and murdered them and did all sorts of horrible, terrible things to people. I mean, when he was, governing or in control of Hispaniola, he dismembered people and set up slave trade and, allowed men to rape women, and he set up child sex trade. It's just crazy. I mean, I have some excerpts, and you can find this on even just Wikipedia. Um, Gosh, where do I start? I mean, I'm just looking at this whole thing, and oh, yeah, I mentioned, like, when he first met the indigenous people of the Indies, the Lucayan, Taino, and Arawak. He's like, I mean, these people, just welcomed him. They were like, oh, hey, newcomer. He probably didn't know who he was, but they were, in marvel of his, big old ship and everything. And, they gave him food, shelter, all sorts of gifts. I mean, if it had been me, I'd be like, laying back with all of them. It's like, oh, nice. This is good. These people are great. We should, yeah. It's like, these people are so hospitable. But he's like, through all that whole thing, he's like thinking, oh, I could conquer all these people with just 50 men. Which, I guess is kind of a testament to some, European mindsets at that time. It's like, yeah, bite the hand that feeds you. All these people are being nice to you and welcoming to you, and then you just murder them. Oh my gosh, but let's see. There was one part I really wanted. Oh, yeah. The ways he settled down, or not settled, but put down unrest and revolt when he was ruling like Hispaniola and stuff. Um, he just killed them and dismembered their bodies and paraded them around the streets and all this stuff. I mean, he was a tyrant. He got into a lot of trouble for it at the time. And there was this one guy, De las Casas. When he first came to Hispaniola in 1508, there were, 60,000 people living on the island at that time. And before that, it was 3 million, And you kind of think from that point when Columbus first got there to when this other guy, he comes in 1508, that's millions of people who died. Because of the way, Columbus enslaved them and treated them. I mean, there was even points where people committed suicide because they didn't want to be under his rule, and they didn't want to be enslaved. So it's just, it's sickening to me, and it just boggles my mind why Italian Americans, or people who like Columbus Day even, want to celebrate that. It's like, I can understand the whole point of, it's like, hey, somebody discovered America, and that's when, our history was being first established, especially, Europe and Europeans coming over and settling, and then, with the eventual, coming of, the making of America. But at the same time, these sorts of events should not be celebrated, in my mind. Nothing that Columbus did, none of the good things that he did can outweigh all the horrible things that he did. I mean, rape and murder and genocide trumps anything that he could have done, in my mind. And, it's like for Italian Americans, there are way many better Italians that you can be celebrating. I just, went to Wikipedia and looked at a long list of like famous Italians, and whether you choose that particular time frame, the 1490s or early 1500s, whatever, or just for something that somebody did, there are way better choices, way better. I mean, I was just kind of going down the line and looking at names I recognized. Marco Polo, he's a great explorer. There's also Enrico Fermi. He helped design the first atomic reactor in the United States, and I think he also helped with making the first atomic bomb and all that. Some people don't want, probably wouldn't want to celebrate that because, it's a war thing, but at the same time, his efforts helped end World War II, so, that's why I respect him. Galileo Galilei, great scientist. And you also had Michelangelo, who was a famous painter, a famous artist. So, when somebody says, it's like, well, we should keep it Columbus Day and celebrate Italian heritage. There are way better things to celebrate, way better people to celebrate from Italy. And, let's make this day something really positive. Celebrate Indigenous people or Native American culture, because it's something that they deserve. I mean, I'm actually wearing something really awesome right now. It's a jacket that I got from the Suquamish tribes. I was on their reservation. I stopped at a gas station, and they sold all this really cool swag. This, if you can see, hopefully you can see it. I'm just trying to make sure. It's an eagle on my jacket, and they sold a bunch of other great stuff. I have a keychain and magnets, if I recall correctly, and other awesome things, and they have books too about, like, especially for kids, about, Native American beliefs and everything like that. So I thought that was really awesome. I mean, this is the sort of thing that we can celebrate on this day, their artwork, their culture, all of that. I especially love Northwest Native American art and Hopi Native American art. I love if you've ever heard of Kachinas, or if I recall correctly, the proper pronunciation is Katsina. Oh gosh, I love reading about that. So let's celebrate that instead of, one guy's, discovery, which eventually led to him doing terrible, terrible deeds. And, for Italian Americans, let's pick somebody else. Anyone else. It's an improvement if you pick someone else. Please. So, thank you, and Sanepti.